Hello and welcome to the latest webinar from Essent. Today we're going to show you how systems integration makes business communications automatic, efficient, and hassle-free for the most efficient supply chain possible. My name is Doug Brill. I'm the Essent Marketing Coordinator and I specialize in the promotional products industry. I'm also your moderator for today. Before we begin, a very brief overview of Essent. Essent is a leader in providing comprehensive business management solutions since 1981. Essent has been serving distributors, decorators, and suppliers in the promotional products industry since the year 2000. And more than $3 billion in commerce flows through Essent solutions each year. We expect that you may have some questions, but in an effort to keep the webinar concise for everyone, we can only answer those questions offline. So feel free to use the webinar control panel to submit questions, and we'll be happy to answer them for you after the webinar has ended. Okay, so the traditional ways that trading partners communicate business information is manual and costly. Phone calls, emails, and manual verification sap untold man hours every day from suppliers, decorators, and distributors alike. It's a time-intensive back and forth, repeated transaction after transaction, day after day. Early in the order life cycle, a distributor might call the supplier to ask about price and availability. Now, a supplier representative needs to spend time answering that call, spending more time looking up the information. Hopefully that information is accurate. Hopefully it's found quickly. And then the supplier representative needs to spend even more time accurately providing the information to the distributor. Now it's a little bit later in the order life cycle, and the distributor might email this time to ask about the order status. Again, it's going to require supplier man hours to find and deliver an answer, not to mention distributor man hours spent waiting for that answer. And now further still in the transaction, it's the supplier this time reaching out to the distributor. The supplier is reaching out by phone or email or in some other manual way to handle invoicing and payment information. Again, it's a time-intensive back and forth, repeated transaction after transaction, day after day. And over the course of dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of transactions per day, all those man hours add up in a significant cost for both trading partners. The supplier and distributor alike share in those costs. All that time and money spent communicating, recommunicating, and correcting business information is what we call supply chain friction. It's the avoidable time, labor, and costs that get built into every order through inefficient communication. Systems integration is the solution to supply chain friction. Rather than all those calls and emails that take so much time and labor, imagine having the information automatically shared in real time, accurately among the people and systems who need it. The result is instant, hassle-free visibility to the accurate, real-time information that's needed to do business. Integration allows the automated exchange of information that currently costs the most time and labor to communicate. In short, integration creates a supply chain without supply chain friction. And with that, here to bring you into a closer look is your presenter, Marco Pena. Marco is a business development manager for Essent, and he specializes in integration. Marco is also a specialist in the promotional products industry. Marco is going to tell you more about how integration eliminates supply chain friction for more efficient business partnerships and ultimately a more efficient supply chain.
Thank you very much, Doug. I think a good way to start the webinar today is to get everyone on the same page just by saying briefly what integration is. The technical specifications of integration are complicated, but just think of it like a dial tone. You pick up the phone, you hear the dial tone, and you know that the phone will reliably deliver your message. With systems integration, it's like software systems calling one another to automatically provide real-time information. It's important to note that trading partners don't have to change their ERPs or business management systems to integrate. Both partners can continue using what they're using. The integration handles the communication between systems, even when there are different systems using different data formats. Once the integration is built, the software systems automatically exchange information. Then the trading partners using those systems can see the information in their own ERP or web portal. With integration, trading partners can communicate business information automatically, accurately, and in real time. Require any manual processes. For example, a buyer can simply look up the price and availability within their own ERP or web portal. No phone calls, no emails are required. The result is instant, hassle-free visibility to the information that's needed for every transaction. The information that can be integrated is naturally the information that's most often required for business. It's the information that trading partners spend the most time exchanging manually. It includes pricing and availability, product catalogs, product configuration, such as where and how an item will be imprinted, and order status. Trading partners can also integrate purchase orders, shipping notices, invoices, and more. If trading partners have information that they want to share through integration, chances are there's a way to integrate it. One way to understand the value of integration is to understand the value of the partnership between a supplier and a distributor. The supplier and distributor are in partnership to satisfy the end buyer. The better the partnership functions, the more the supplier and distributor can both gain from it. The supplier and distributor want a friction-free relationship. In other words, the more efficient, the better. The efficiency of integration is going to streamline the processes and activities. For one, it will cut out all those phone calls and emails that Doug mentioned. The information will also be more accurate. Since the information isn't being relayed manually, there's less of an opportunity to create time-intensive errors. Now the supplier and distributor both have more time for more productive activities, like sales. And now that both parties are empowered to sell more, consumption will go up, which is what everybody wants. One way to best illustrate the value of efficient business information is to look at the opposite, flawed business information. The inefficient exchange of business information leads to flawed, inefficient orders. It's not just the time or labor associated with communicating the information by phone or email. It's the manual steps that can introduce errors that take even more time to fix. Sometimes poorly formed orders are just incomplete. Required information is missing. Sometimes the information is vague. The information is there, but not quite right, or there's a typo. Or it could just be a free-form order. It doesn't really follow any of the rules for efficient information. This type of supply chain friction is costly. One large supplier told PPB magazine that it costs $13,000 per day to process flawed orders. And that's in addition to what it costs to process the good orders. With a typical 5-day work week, there are 261 business days in a year. Do the math. At the cost of inefficient information is $3.4 million per year for just that one supplier. And again, that's what we mean when we say supply chain friction. It's the avoidable time, labor, and costs that get built into every order through inefficient communication. So what happens with that supply chain friction? It naturally gets baked into the unit price. So your hat or pin or t-shirt is more expensive now. Then it gets passed on to the distributor. And as a product moves through the supply chain friction sticks with it. Now the distributor is going to the end buyer with these extra costs built in. The distributor can simply pass along the cost to the end buyer. But the end buyer isn't going to like throwing money away. It's going to lead to a customer dissatisfaction and possibly loss of business. The distributor can also simply absorb the supply chain friction. So now the distributor can take a lesser margin to keep the end buyer happy. So what are we left with? Either an end buyer unhappy throwing away money or a distributor with diminished margins. There's no good outcome. So that's why the relationship between the supplier and distributor is so important. The cost for the supplier, the cost for the distributor, and the satisfaction for the customer all depend on that relationship. The more efficient their relationship, the better it is for everyone. Systems integration provides at least 3 major advantages that make a better relationship. Integration makes it easier for buyers to buy. Integration greatly reduces the time and labor associated with each transaction. And integration enhances customer service. Suppliers want to integrate so that buyers immediately have the information that they need to buy. One concept to keep in mind is the zero moment of truth. The term describes the instant when the buyer has a need. Let's say the distributor has a client with a large rush order, or any order for that matter. A supplier who can immediately show the distributor what's available for what price has a far greater chance of selling it. So the supplier who integrates price and availability information has a huge advantage. The distributor is also going to need to configure the product, where and how the order is going to be decorated, for example. Product configuration integration allows the buyer to choose imprint locations, methods, and otherwise configure the product according to the business rules set by the supplier. By integrating price, availability, and configuration, the supplier seamlessly provides the information needed to move the transaction forward. Suppliers and distributors have numerous occasions to communicate through the order lifecycle. The more efficient those communications are carried out, the more efficient the transaction. The end user will be better served and the cost will be contained. We just illustrated the ways integration provides instant price, availability, and configuration before the transaction. And the integration can continue to provide efficiency throughout the order lifecycle. While the transaction is in process, order status, and shipment notice integrations provide updates from the supplier to the distributor. This is the information, incidentally, that the end buyer most frequently wants to know from the distributor. At the end of the order lifecycle, integrations for invoices and payment information make payment easy. Integration automatically provides the information that suppliers used to spend the time providing manually. Now everyone is freed up for more productive activities, like sales. And one more big advantage of integrating is enhanced customer service. Distributors and ultimately end buyers have easier access to the information needed to place, manage, and complete orders. From quoting all the way out to invoicing, the information needed for the order lifecycle is automatically provided. Distributors now have the ability to gather the business information more efficiently than they could through traditional manual methods. With time-intensive manual tasks stripped from the order lifecycle, orders reach the production floor and ultimately the end customer faster. With integration, it's easier and quicker for suppliers to satisfy distributors, who in turn can be more easily and quickly satisfy end customers. It's a boost in customer service throughout the supply chain. So how does integration work in the real world? Here are some promotional product companies leveraging integration right now. Embroidery is a promotional products distributor with more than 500 franchises locations worldwide. It recently launched the Embroidery Supplier Integration Initiative. The initiative directs 145 suppliers to integrate with Embroidery through the SN Order Tracks network. The first phase of the project is to integrate inventory information, so the Embroidery stores will have instant access to price and availability from suppliers. In later phases of the initiative, Embroidery will encourage suppliers to integrate product catalogs, product configurations, purchase orders, order statuses, advanced shipment notices, and invoice. The goal is to provide Embroidery stores with immediate, real-time access to the supplier information needed to do business. This is how the Embroidery Director of Retail Operations described the initiative. She said, Embroidery wants to provide its franchisees the most comprehensive tools to be efficient, streamline workflows, and improve sales process. Integration through the SN Order Tracks network will empower Embroidery stores to sell more, thereby growing consumption, which is what everyone wants. Beacon Promotions is a promotional product supplier with more than a dozen awards for its customer service. Beacon is using an inventory availability web service. The web service is built to promote standard specifications and runs on the SN Order Tracks network to provide pricing and availability information. Once Beacon had the integration built, the hard part was done. It could then simply invite distributors to join the integration. 6 of Beacon's biggest distributor partners immediately joined, and Beacon is looking for more distributors to integrate. Beacon reports that the need for those distributors to call or email for information is virtually eliminated, and those distributors instantly have the information they need to make a purchase. Beacon says that the integration enhances its award-winning customer service. Beacon President Gary Haley says the integration fits in perfectly with what we try to do each day in terms of award-winning customer service. This is the information distributors are looking for at the time they place orders. It's a big deal to offer this information in a timely way. Marco Promotional Products, a distributor, and Hubpin Company, a supplier, are integrated in a way that takes almost all of the manual work out of order processing. They use automated order processing. You might have heard of it by its nickname in the promotional products industry, the Holy Grail. It's a solution that was recognized with a PPAI Technology Summit Internal Innovator Award. Automated order processing is a combination of integrations, most prominently purchase orders and product configurations. By defining the information required for purchase order and configuration, the companies are virtually assured of exchanging accurate order information every time. The accuracy of the information results in well-formed orders. Because they are complete and accurate, these orders can be processed by computers without requiring a person to look at them. The orders reach the production floor in half the time, and it doesn't require the time and labor required in manual order processing. HubPin President Joseph Fleming said integration is a pretty easy sell, faster, more accurate, cheaper. If HubPin can make the relationship more profitable for the distributor, we are much more likely to get more business in the future. Suppliers and distributors can develop their integrations with in-house staff, but most companies ultimately find it preferable to use an experienced integration service provider like Essent. Here are 5 reasons why. The first is reduced maintenance. Maintenance costs such as bug fixes, updates, and security compliance can amount to tens of thousands of dollars per year. Maintenance can quickly become more costly than the upfront cost. But with an integration provider, the maintenance costs are shared by multiple companies, so no one has to shoulder the burden themselves. Second is scalability. An integration provider has infrastructure that can typically much more scalability than individual companies can provide on their own. The provider can add server capacity at peak events and subtract it when it's no longer needed. It can handle new integrations with new partners as they arise. Next is cost stability. Cost for hardware, labor, maintenance, and licensing can fluctuate, but an integration provider typically handles all that for one flat monthly fee. New security threats and standards emerge every day, and it's an around-the-clock job to manage. An integration provider typically provides around-the-clock security as part of the subscription. Companies can let the provider sweat the security. And finally, there's experience. Even companies with developers are unlikely to have the extensive integration experience offered by integration providers. Integration providers have already identified and solved many of the issues. Essent integrations leverage the Essent OrderTrax network. OrderTrax is a promotional products industry standard commerce network. It processes more than 12 million transactions annually. Those transactions represent $3 billion annually. And it allows trading partners to automatically exchange business information in real time. And OrderTrax lets you integrate the way you want to integrate. Trading partners can use the ERPs of their choosing, even if they're different ERPs. The partners can choose the integration standard and specification, whether it's EPSA, ANSI X12, promo standards, or other public or proprietary standards. Here's perhaps the greatest advantage of integrating through an established network, like the OrderTrax network. When using adopted protocols, the majority of the work is done all at once. Hundreds of companies, including promotional products, industry distributors, decorators, and suppliers, are already in the network. So once you're on the OrderTrax network, you've just adopted hundreds of potential integration partners. And it's easy to turn on integration with others in the network. This is a big advantage for a number of reasons. For starters, companies don't need to create a unit every time they want to add a trading partner. Creating a new integration each time quickly becomes costly. But OrderTrax delivers a built-in network of potential integration partners. With so many companies on the network, Essent is able to perform matchmaking services. Essent can help companies find integration partners who are already on the network, and therefore set up to integrate quickly, simply, and cost-effectively. Inclusion in the Essent OrderTrax networks means that once you integrate, Essent can handle the rest. From maintenance to security to matchmaking, the Essent OrderTrax network opens the door to hundreds of potential trading partners. And with that, I'm going to turn it over back to Doug, who will tell you how to learn more.
Thank you very much, Marco. Essent is dedicated to creating efficiency in the promotional products industry and supports all of the capabilities discussed today. Essent has integration solutions for every step of the order lifecycle, and the result is enhanced supplier-distributor relationships and a more efficient supply chain. To learn more about integration, you can visit essent.com/integration. There you can find more information about everything we discussed today, and you can also use that page to get in touch with an Essent representative if you would like a free consultation about integration services. Again, that's essent.com/integration to learn more. Thanks again to everyone for attending today's webinar. Make a more efficient supply chain with systems integration.